Or give me a first place. Where are we supposed to play? Are we starting late?
We're starting, right? Time to go?
There's one or two people who are coming in right now.
As soon as Deb gets in, huh? Okay.
And I'll start the prelude music before you start any words.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We'll tell her to go.
You just give me a cue, like the bride's ready. Yes. Kiss the bride. We're 6 feet away, right?
You can go ahead and start.
Okay.
We'll talk after. I need to get your address and stuff.
I'm just gonna. The first piece of music is an allegro from a sonata by George Frederick Handel in the key of F major for any intellectuals or musical lovers out there. And it's me playing with me. Technical problems. I'm a musician, not a technician. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
you, Jackie. Lovely to hear you play Handel this morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today's November 21st, 2021. My name is Judy Clow, and I'll be your worship associate today. I'm happy to be here in person. It's been so long we were doing this on YouTube and Zoom. We're a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, races, ages, and backgrounds. It's wonderful to see all our vaccinated members in the sanctuary, although we are on YouTube too. If you want to find out more about us or to be put on our email list, go to our website at www.tcuuc.org. You will get announcements in our Friday online newsletter, and I'll do some more later. Visitors, if you're comfortable, please step up to the microphone and introduce yourself. I know there's two visitors who were here when I arrived this morning, Nancy and Rich. If you go to the microphone, they can hear. Thanks.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nancy Bernacki and my husband, Rich Bernacki. We're here visiting my brother-in-law, and thank you for welcoming us. We wanted to come and visit your church. We've been a member for over 20 years in Dallas, First UU. Thank you.
Yeah, one of the biggie churches. It's 1,000 members, whatever, but everything. We have a, it's a nice one. We live in Fort Worth, but we always go to Dallas to the UU church. We just enjoy that. Thank you.
Thanks. And I think we have I believe we have some more visitors. Would you like to introduce yourselves? You could stay in your seats if you prefer. Just speak up.
They're not visitors. They're old timers.
They're old timers.
We're semi-visitors.
Come on up.
Come visit us.
She looked at me or I wouldn't have come up. Mary.
Do we have to do this every time we come to church until we leave?
Come back.
In a way, we've been members longer than you. We joined about 30 years ago, and we're snowbirds, and we're down here twice a year, and we're always happy to be with you. You have a beautiful church here.
Yes.
And we're with you all year up there now that they invented Zoom and YouTube.
That's when he figures out how to work it.
Well, thank you. Welcome back. Are there others?
They've got to take her. Oh, go.
Well, I'm Nancy and my partner Bill. We're from upstate New York. We were here last week, but just for the new people who weren't here also, I'll introduce us. And we're in Florida for about 7 months. And then we're up in upstate New York, the Adirondacks. And I belong to the Unitarian Church in Queensbury, New York. So thank you for welcoming us. And you have a lovely church here.
Welcome. We're from upstate New York too, but not that far upstate.
Hello, I'm Ann Powell. I'm a snowbird, and I'm a Unitarian up Western New York, which is Buffalo area. It's quite a ways from upstate. Last year, I didn't come to church because I wasn't healthy, but this year I am 3 times vaccinated, and it's so nice to be here with people again. Thank you.
Welcome. I'm glad you're healthy. That's great. Okay, it's announcement time. I think we got everyone. No. Every first and third Tuesdays at the Stewart Veterans Memorial Park downtown at noon, there's a brown bag lunch. Bring your own and enjoy all the company. So that's not this week because it's not.
Next week, we're having an extra one.
Oh, good. On the 5th Tuesday. So not this week, next week. Today at 3 p.m., I lost my announcement. There's an interfaith Thanksgiving service at the First United Methodist Church, 1500 South Canner Highway in Stewart. You can go in person at 3, or you can go online, but don't use our own link. The link will be facebook.com/Stewart FUMC for First United Methodist Church. And there's an announcement about cards. Cards, we are offering cards here at the church the 2nd and 4th Mondays at 1 p.m. It was wrong in the Friday announcements. And Janet has an announcement.
The board did a major project last week. We cleaned out the big closet in hopes that we could get some of the extra chairs from Heston Hall out of there. So when we ever get back to really having coffee in Heston Hall, there'll be some room for all of us. A lot of what was in there was leftovers from garage sales. There's a huge number of pictures there. We put them out in Heston Hall. Go in, take a look. If there's something you want, just give us a donation. It's on the door of Debbie's office. There's a box you can put in. We will linger a bit, but approaching 1 o'clock, even if you don't want to buy something, please just take it and take it to your favorite charity, so we don't have to haul more off to charities ourselves. Thanks.
A big thanks to everyone who helped with the service today. Jackie Robbins right here for the beautiful music, our greeters and our ushers, as well as our host Karina Poloni and our tech wizard Chris McGann. After the service, we'll have water and cookies in the narthex. Now it's time for the chalice. We hallow our time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. In keeping with the theme today, this is my story about a memorable Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving without family. Somewhere in the early 1980s, I was newly divorced and making my way as a single parent. As the holiday season approached, my ex-husband was scheduled to have the children on Thanksgiving, so that would leave me alone for the festive day of thanks. Fortunately, I had begun to attend the First Unitarian Society of Schenectady. During announcements one Sunday, I discovered that church members were planning a potluck Thanksgiving meal. Anyone who did not have other plans for that day was invited to the church for a Thanksgiving celebration. I quickly decided that would be a good solution to my empty house. On Thanksgiving Day, I made a dish and ventured out. The warm atmosphere and pleasant conversation lifted my spirits. One woman was so enthusiastic about the evening branch of the Women's Alliance that she convinced me to attend an upcoming meeting. After a few meetings of the group, whose name is abbreviated EBWA, I became an active member of their steering committee. Needless to say, I joined the Schenectady Church, now known as the Unitarian Universalist Society of Schenectady. After 30 years there, I'm happy to be a member here at TCUUC along with my husband, Lou. Now let us sing a hymn through our masks. 349, we gather together. And let us be thankful to actually be together in the sanctuary for those who are here today. And the words are up so we can see them.
Sorry. This is why they don't pay me the big bucks. Here we go. We gather together with my iPhone.
Let us recite our affirmation, speaking the first verse and singing the second. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
And now is our time to share our joys and sorrows. We ask people to let us know what is on their mind and heart. We hope it will be personal. We ask it to be brief, but we want to know and support each other better. And this is one way we do that. Who has a matter of joy or sorrow? And I'm reminded that after we share it, we move a rock from the pile to the symbolic waters. I think you know that. Who has a matter to share? Tell us about Carl.
Yes, my husband had a little heart fear, and Tuesday night in the middle of the night, we drove down to the VA in West Palm Beach. He has spent 2 nights there. They've given him new meds. He is fine, but this is a worry.
Well, hearing VA hospital, I have to share a joy. The American Legion here in Stewart, a couple miles from here, is part of the Wreaths Across America program, which places a cross and a wreath on every veteran's grave. None of them are left behind or forgotten. So last night they had a fundraiser. It was a pirate murder mystery dinner theater. I got a call Thursday night from a guy who was my director when I did a similar fundraiser for raising money for orphan kids back in February. Joe, can you fill in for somebody in this murder mystery? The guy got hurt, he can't do it. Sure. When's rehearsal? Tonight. When's the performance? Day after tomorrow. Okay, no problem. Well, I'm happy to tell you, I crushed it. We crushed it. We raised thousands of dollars. And at this cemetery right around the corner from here, December 18th will be the ceremony. So if any of you want the details, let me know, because this just warms the heart like nothing I've experienced in a long time. Arr!
Thank you, Joe.
Hi, I'm Jackie, and I'm fortunate enough to be the string mentor for the Treasure Coast Youth Symphony. And I just wanted to let you know that tomorrow night at the Lyric Theater, that's November 22nd, at 7 p.m., it will be the first performance by these kids. We've lost like 26 kids due to graduations and COVID and such, and moving. So it's a sort of small, younger orchestra. But it'll be their first performance. It's the Lyric Theater, and it's a nonprofit, so I think the tickets are $20 or something, very cheap. Not your typical Lyric Theater squeeze. And that's 7 p.m. tomorrow. And it's mostly classical. There will be one arrangement by a conductor of something from Led Zeppelin, which I can't recall the name of, but you'd recognize it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Pam?
It is my joy that we have so many artists and musicians in our church. And one of those artists is named Karina Poloni. And this is the magazine that Karina is featured in. I found it at CVS. And we do have someone famous in our congregation. And I'm very grateful.
Anyone else? We always move a stone for those that we have on our minds but don't speak out loud. We know there's always a lot of them. This reading is from Jane Rzepka, 510 in the hymnal. It may be out of season, but the Spirit speaks to me this day, so I hope it will speak to you as we are in meditation. O Spirit of life and renewal, we have wintered enough, mourned enough, oppressed ourselves enough. Our souls are too long cold and buried, our dreams all but forgotten, our hopes unheard. We are waiting to rise from the dead. In this, the season of steady rebirth, we awaken to the power so abundant, so holy, that returns each year through earth and sky. We will find our hearts again and our good spirits. We will love and believe and give and wonder and feel again the eternal powers. The flow of life moves ever onward through one faithful spring and another and now another. May we be forever grateful. Alleluia. Amen. Moments of silence. Now the hymn is Spirit of Life, 123. We hum a verse, we sing a verse through our masks.
Three, four.
The offering time, the offering plates, are our occasion to express our generosity and our gratitude. We need your generosity. I know we have your gratitude. Let us give gratefully. And let me have some ushers who knew I was going to ask them. That was like a little rap for Thanksgiving. Who would have thunk? I want to just call to our attention that we're so appreciative of Linda Shuey doing our service, taking our generosity to the family in Indiantown. Now, I had a sheet to pass out. Did some of you get that with the picture of the family and the story on the back? It's also on the update, if you get that. But anyhow, the picture of the family just warms the heart, and that we could do a little, really a drop in the bucket for a family struggling, that we could do anything makes us feel good. So we're doing it for them, and we're doing it for us. And we're going to continue, and we really thank you, Linda, and your driver, I guess, now and then too. Starting next week, I'm going to bring in a familiar symbol, a Christmas stocking. I think it's one that we used to have for our cat. but haven't used it for that for a long time. And I'm going to hang it here somewhere. And all through the month of December, I will invite people to put whatever they want in that stocking. And it'll go to the office and it will go to the help to that family. We want to do what we can, and we're inviting everybody to take part in that. You all who are here, and you all who are watching us from afar, but you know who you are. We want to make this a loving act from all of us. This family has been through so much, and we're happy to be able to support them. A little aside about that I have to pass on to you. You know, we started this 2 weeks ago, because 2 weeks ago and 2 days before that, I heard from this community UU minister in Missouri named Dottie, and I heard from Mary Catherine, whom we've gotten to know, that this family was an Indian town, and they hoped we could help them. So that was 2 weeks ago, and you responded generously, and you know what we're doing to help them, and we'll continue to, I'm sure. So that was 2 weeks ago. 2 days later, I think, a number of you got an email from Reverend Bob MacDonald, I need your help. 2 days after that, you got this scam email. Now, several of you wrote back to me, Bob, what help do you need? And one of you, I thought, nailed it with, Bob, I knew it wasn't you because you said God bless you a couple times, and I know you don't talk like that. So that was Deb Harris. Deb, where are you? Deb, all I can say is God bless you. Oh, man. Well, I think I should know by now, but I really don't know what this time period between Thanksgiving and New Year's is all about. I really don't. I'd like it to be about religion, a time of potential awakening and realization, maybe even rebirth and renewal. There are quite a few religious holidays between Thanksgiving and New Year's. UUs are proud of the multiple resources that we look to, many of them expressed in the back of our hymnal. Many religions guide us, and people tell us they come here to be saved from religion. Their saint is Ron Reagan Jr., I hasten to add. That's the largest denomination today in America, called the Nuns. Anyhow, the holidays in the next month celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, which is a cultural holiday, the births of Jesus and of Muhammad, and the waiting of Buddha under the tree for enlightenment, and many more. So the next month could be all about religious awakening if you or I were the living embodiment of focus factor. Or you could say it's about the economy, stupid. I was in churches around Hartford, Connecticut, and noticed the evening news always signed off with, so many days left, be sure to get your shopping done. I couldn't take it, so I wrote them on my church stationery. I tune in for the evening news. Why is the evening news telling me to shop? You are encouraging people who can't afford it to rack up credit card debt and to be worse off for watching your news. Months later, I got a reply. Dear Reverend Grinch, local businesses support us, so we support them. So it's not primarily religion or economy. I'm thinking, at least today and for the next month, it's about stories we tell or stories we hear. Stories that warm us where we need it and keep us going. We're all different. My mother loved Frosty and Rudolph, sung, of course, by Burl Ives. I love, for Christmas, really for Christmas Eve, Marjorie Williams' The Velveteen Rabbit. I used to stew about how often can I read that here? Is anybody going to tell me, Bob, you need a new story. You read that 3 years ago. Well, does anybody not know how Dickens' Christmas Carol ends? God bless us, everyone. So I'm thinking this time of year is about stories we need to keep going. Karen Armstrong tells us we repeat myths because they do something for us. They help us live on, not in another world, in our world and in our time. So holidays are about stories and food to fill up on. I mentioned in our update, if you have a story or a recipe one of these holidays means to you, let me know, and I will pass you the mic. So today, how many of you make pumpkin curry soup? Pumpkin curry soup. Wow. I don't, but I love it and happen to have a recipe if you are interested. COVID says we can't serve food yet, but we can exchange recipes. So the myth of Thanksgiving is the religious refugees, migrants from Europe. Now, I haven't heard our ancestors called migrants, but I looked up migrant. I looked up a lot of words. Migrant means somebody who goes somewhere for a better life. So our ancestors were religious migrants, many of them, who arrived from Europe at Plymouth and Jamestown and announced, "We're here." And the Native Americans spread a table, turkey, and pumpkin curry soup. And what did they, the welcoming natives, get back? Disease, high COVID-like levels among natives and refugees. They died that winter. The first Thanksgiving was a super spreader event of disease from Europe. I don't think the children read that in the history book. I've read, probably you have too, that Lincoln in 1863 made Thanksgiving a national holiday on the 4th November Thursday. Before that, individual states could set the date. It was in good part Lincoln's attempt to lift the eyes and the hope of a death-drenched nation, drenched by the horrors of civil war. These words were probably by Secretary of State William Seward. Needful diversions of wealth and of strength from the fields of peaceful industry to the national defense have not arrested the plow, the shuttle, or the ship. The axe has enlarged the borders of our settlements, and the mines, as well of iron and coal as of the precious metals, have yielded even more abundantly than heretofore. Population has steadily increased, notwithstanding the waste that has been made in the camp, the siege, and the battlefield. And the country, rejoicing in the consciousness of augmented strength and vigor, is permitted to expect continuance of years with large increase of freedom. No human counsel hath devised, nor hath any mortal hand worked out these great things. They are the gracious gifts of the Most High God, who, while dealing with us in anger for our sins, hath nevertheless remembered mercy. It has seemed to me fit and proper that they should be solemnly, reverently, and gratefully acknowledged, as with one heart and one voice, by the whole American people. I do therefore invite my fellow citizens in every part of the United States, and also those who are at sea, and those who are sojourning in foreign lands, to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November next as a day of thanksgiving and praise to our beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens. And I recommend to them that while offering up the ascriptions justly due to him for such singular deliverances and blessings, they do also with humble penitence for our national perverseness and disobedience, commend to his tender care all those who have become widows, orphans, mourners, sufferers in the lamentable civil strife in which we are unavoidably engaged, and fervently implore the interposition of the Almighty hand to heal the wounds of the nation and to restore it as soon as may be consistent with the divine purposes to the full enjoyment of peace, harmony, tranquility, and union. Augmented strength and vigor. How we could use a serving of that on Thursday. This nation needs healing again, as many acquaint the current political divide and actions with that civil war Lincoln led us through. And our Thanksgiving dinner gathering has become a matter of humor, as in, whom can we dare to invite and end up with a civil gathering? Or can you risk a politics-fueled food fight? Many, if not most of us, if not all of us, can't gather and feast with extended family without it becoming a super spreader of political venom. The latest cultural war route to political power seems to be school curriculum. Control the curriculum and the telling of history, and power can be kept where we want it. A phrase haunts me. Truth be told. Truth be told. You mean we can't assume truth-telling, so maybe we can render what we say less suspect with truth be told? Maybe I just don't get it. Truth be told. So maybe we should let the early pilgrim myth stand. A welcome potluck was had by all. So maybe my soup wasn't there, but surely the natives were well treated and well thanked by those Christian refugee migrants from abroad. But the awful truth keeps coming out, and surely that's something to celebrate this coming Thursday. In a free country, we just might move from "you can't handle the truth" to "the truth will set you free, but first it will make you miserable." This past week, in the sports pages, a young Native American man runs in tribute to his great-grandfather, who as a child was separated from his family and forced into a government church school system to clean the Native American culture out of the young. A senior at Yarrington High School in Western Nevada, Koo Stevens, Koo is short for Kootovan, raced in the Nevada State Interscholastic Championships in early November. Though he lived on a struggling Native American reservation and participated in a sport where few competitors shared his background, he dreamed for years of being the state's fastest high school distance runner. He wanted to show that Native Americans could be champions. Winning would honor his tribe and his forebears, especially his great-grandfather and others like him who endured brutal treatment at federal and church-run boarding schools and the often violent efforts to strip Native Americans of their language, religious beliefs, and all other vestiges of their culture. Stephen's paternal great-grandfather, Frank Quinn, a Yarrington Paiute. You want to know this, but I discovered that if you want to know how a word is pronounced, you go to Google, you get a little box with a pair of lips on it, you tap that, and you hear the word pronounced. So that's how I learned Paiute. A Yarrington Paiute Indian born in the rugged Nevada desert suffered a fate all too common for Native American children in the early 1900s. At around 7 or 8 years old, he was forced to leave his parents and attend the Stewart Indian School 3 miles outside Carson City and a world away from his tribe. The boarding school was one of over 350 similar institutions across the United States created to forcibly assimilate Native Americans. The intent was evil, said Stacy Montooth, executive director of the Nevada Indian Commission. It was genocide. In Quinn's era, children as young as age 4 arrived on campus after being ripped from their parents' arms by agents of the school. Mothers and fathers traveled from the tribal land and camped just outside Stewart's sprawling campus, hoping to steal glimpses of their children. Corporal punishment and solitary confinement were common. As with many of the Native American boarding schools, a cemetery sat nearby. Its graves are said to hold the remains of students who died at the school. Quinn stood up to such treatment. The Paiute have passed his story through generations by word of mouth, how he was just 8 years old when he escaped Stewart and fled into the desert, how he ran using a keen memory of the topography and somehow navigated his way home, a trip of 50 miles. I owe him everything, said Stevens, whose family hews closely to Paiute traditions. A canvas-covered sweat lodge used for ceremonies to mark the seasons sits in the family backyard. They farm alfalfa on the same land that has been a home to the tribe for centuries. When I run, I take my history with me, and especially Frank Quinn. He went through so much at such a young age, and his first escape from Stewart wasn't the last. There are only scant records of Quinn's time at Stewart, but this much is known. After that first escape, government agents dragged him back. Once more he fled, only to be caught and returned. He escaped again and made it home again. The school finally gave up. Quinn became a rancher, a tribal leader, a respected elder, a quiet man who refused to speak ill of anyone. He died in the mid-1980s, a quarter mile from the single-story, 2-bedroom home where Stevens lives now. Truth be told, we need to let the Native Americans tell their own story. Thanksgiving is a celebration of hearth and home. What really warms us is the realization we have tried to live at peace, and we have been enriched in knowing that people who once seemed so different and even enemy really aren't. A good beginning would be applying that to extended family. Our closing hymn is 360. Here we have gathered. 360. Judy will extinguish the chalice with these closing words. Gratitude may be a fleeting feeling when we stop and think, but it may also be a lasting action when we do more than feel and think.